The mahogany conference table gleamed under the soft lighting as I reviewed the quarterly reports. 50 million in revenue, 127% growth, and a successful Series B funding round that valued Novatech at $500 million. Not bad for a secretary. Sarah, my actual executive assistant, buzzed through the intercom. Ms. Alexandra Sullivan, your sister Margaret is here with the contract documents from Sullivan and Partners. I smiled, remembering yesterday's Thanksgiving dinner. Send her up, Sarah, and activate the smart glass, clear mode. The floor-to-ceiling windows transformed from frosted to transparent, revealing the San Francisco skyline from the 50th floor of our headquarters. A little theatrical, perhaps, but after 5 years of condescension from my family, I'd earned this moment. The elevator dinged, and Margaret strode in, designer handbag swinging, still radiating the same superiority she displayed at dinner. She stopped cold when she saw me behind the CEO's desk. Alex? What are you? Why are you in the CEO's office? I stood, smoothing my Armani suit. Because it's my office, Maggie. Welcome to Novatech. Her eyes darted to the nameplate. Alexandra Sullivan, Chief Executive Officer and Founder. This is impossible, she whispered. You're a secretary. Dad's secretary. Was, I corrected. I was Dad's secretary for exactly 8 months, 5 years ago. Just long enough to learn everything wrong with Sullivan and Partners operations. She sank into one of the visitor chairs, her world visibly tilting. But, at dinner yesterday, you said you were working at a tech company. I am. I founded it. I held out my hand. The contracts, please. Mechanically, she handed over the folder. Inside were the documents that would make Novatech the exclusive technology provider for Sullivan and Partners, my father's law firm. The same firm that had relegated me to secretarial work despite my business degree from Stanford. Does Dad know? She asked. He's about to. I pressed the intercom. Sarah, is the board ready? Yes, Miss Sullivan. Your father and the Sullivan and partners are waiting in conference room A. Margaret's eyes widened. The emergency board meeting Dad was called to. That's with you. That's right. I gathered my tablet and documents. Coming? You might want to see this. The conference room fell silent as I entered. My father, Gregory Sullivan, sat at the head of the table, a position he'd occupied for 30 years as managing partner of Sullivan and Partners. What is the meaning of? He began, then saw me. Alexandra? Hello, Dad. I took my place at the opposite end of the table. Shall we begin? The next hour was a masterclass in corporate negotiations. I laid out Novatech's proposal, a complete digital transformation of Sullivan and Partners, from client management to case filing, all running on our proprietary legal tech platform. This is ridiculous, my father interrupted. We've managed fine with our current systems. Have you? I pulled up their performance metrics, data I'd gathered during my secretarial days. Client satisfaction down 23%. Average case processing time up 40%. 3 major clients lost to more technologically advanced firms last quarter alone. The other partners shifted uncomfortably. They'd seen the numbers, felt the pressure from clients demanding modern solutions. And you think your startup can fix this? Dad's voice dripped with skepticism. Novatech isn't a startup anymore, Dad. We have over 200 law firms using our platform. Average efficiency increase of 45%. Client satisfaction up 60%. I paused. But don't take my word for it. James? James Chin, my CTO, initiated a holographic display showing real-time data from our client firms. The partners leaned forward, unable to hide their interest. "This is impossible," Dad muttered, but I saw the worry in his eyes. The same eyes that had dismissed me 5 years ago when I tried to suggest modernizing their systems. Actually, Margaret spoke up from the corner where she'd been watching. "It's brilliant. The interface alone would save hours of work." Dad's head snapped around. "You knew about this?" "I just found out," she admitted. "Alex has been discreet." "The offer is simple," I continued. "Novatech provides full digital transformation. You get preferred pricing as early adopters. In return, Sullivan and Partners becomes our showcase client for the East Coast expansion. And if we refuse—" I smiled, remembering all the family dinners where he'd lectured about knowing one's place. "Then you can explain to the partners why you're turning down a solution that could save the firm millions, simply because your daughter built it." The room erupted in murmurs. The partners knew, everyone knew, that Sullivan and Partners was falling behind. Their prestigious name wouldn't protect them forever. "The contract requires an answer today," I added, checking my watch. "I have a flight to London in 3 hours. Their law firms are quite interested in modern solutions." Dad's face reddened. His tail went back into a corner. "You planned this? All of it?" "No, Dad. You planned it. The day you decided I was only good for taking notes and getting coffee." I stood, gathering my materials. "I just executed better than you expected." The senior partner, Thomas Winchester, cleared his throat. "Gregory, we need to discuss this. Miss Sullivan, Alexandra, would you give us the room?" "Of course." I headed for the door, then turned back. "Oh, and Dad? About Thanksgiving dinner. When you said I should aim higher than being a secretary at some tech company," I smiled. "I did. I aimed for CEO." In the hallway, Margaret grabbed my arm. "Why didn't you tell us? All these years." "Would it have mattered? You all knew what you knew about me. Dad's failed daughter, the one who couldn't hack it in law school. But this company, it's worth $500 million at last valuation. More after we sign Sullivan and Partners and expand to Europe." I checked my phone. "Speaking of which, I need to prepare for London." "Alex, wait." She looked uncertain for the first time I could remember. "Yesterday at dinner, when I made that crack about you being just a secretary, water under the bridge," I assured her. "Besides, it was worth it to see your face when you walked into my office." Sarah appeared with my travel documents. "Miss Sullivan, your car is ready. And the partners are asking for you." Back in the conference room, the mood had shifted. Dad sat silent while Thomas handed me their signed copy of the contract. "Welcome aboard," Thomas smiled. "Though I suppose we should be saying thank you for coming aboard." "Alexandra," Dad started, but I held up a hand. "Save it for the next family dinner, Dad. I'll be there, after I close our London deals." I turned to leave, then added, "Oh, and you might want to update my job title in the family Christmas newsletter. Secretary doesn't quite cover it anymore. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's letting them discover how wrong they were all by themselves." The next morning, as my private jet crossed the Atlantic, Sarah sent me the headlines. "Novatech signs major law firm, stock soars." Below it was a smaller piece in the local business journal. "Sullivan and Partners joins digital age, led by founder's daughter." I ordered champagne at 37,000 feet and toasted to 5 years of silence, planning, and perfect execution. Sometimes the quiet ones aren't quiet because they have nothing to say. They're quiet because they're too busy building empires. The London deals exceeded expectations. 6 of the UK's top law firms signed with Novatech, sending our valuation soaring past $800 million. By the time I returned to San Francisco, the business world was buzzing about the legal tech queen transforming the industry. I was reviewing the European contracts when Margaret appeared in my office, looking uncomfortable in her usual power suit. "The firm's implementation team is ready," she said, then hesitated. "Dad wants to know if you'll oversee it personally." "James handles implementations," I replied, not looking up. "He's the best CTO in Silicon Valley." "Alex," she sat down uninvited. "Dad's trying." Now I did look up. Is he? Or is he trying to maintain control, even as a client? Both, probably. She managed a small smile. But he's also proud, in his way. Proud enough to admit he was wrong. He's been watching all your interviews. The Forbes profile, the Tech Weekly cover. She pulled out her phone, showing me a folder of saved articles. He's kept everything. Fascinating, I said dryly. Did he keep the articles from 5 years ago too? When he told the family I was hiding in a tech job because I couldn't handle real work. Before she could answer, Sarah buzzed through. "Miss Sullivan, the Bloomberg team is here for the interview." "Send them up." I stood, straightening my suit. "You can stay, Maggie. See how your secretary's sister handles the press." The interview was for Bloomberg's Innovators to Watch series. The reporter, Jessica Chen, had done her homework. "Novatech's rise is unprecedented," she began. "From startup to industry leader in 5 years. What's your secret?" "Understanding the problem," I replied. "I worked in law firms. I saw their inefficiencies firsthand. As a secretary, correct?" Jessica checked her notes. "At Sullivan and Partners?" I caught Margaret's slight flinch. "Yes, the best way to understand a system's flaws is to work within it, especially from a position everyone underestimates. And now Sullivan and Partners is your client. That must be satisfying." "Business isn't about satisfaction," I said, repeating one of my father's favorite phrases. "It's about solutions. We provide the best solution in legal tech. The market recognizes that." Speaking of market recognition, Jessica leaned forward. "Rumors suggest Novatech is preparing for an IPO. Care to comment?" I smiled, the same smile I'd perfected during years of family dinners. "We're exploring all options to maximize value for our clients and investors." After the interview, Margaret stayed behind. "You're really going public." "The board meets next week to discuss timing." I checked my calendar. "Dad's firm will want to adjust their contract before then. Standard pre-IPO revision clause. He'll want to meet with you directly. He can meet with my legal team." I looked at my sister. "Unless there's another reason?" She sighed. "Mom's birthday dinner next week. She wants you there. I'll send a gift from London. I have meetings with Magic Circle firms." "Alex, please. The family hasn't been together since Thanksgiving." "The family hasn't been together since I was 18, I corrected. "Having the same last name doesn't make us together." "No," she agreed quietly. "But maybe success can build bridges failure couldn't." I considered this. The IPO announcement would value Novatech at over $2 billion, more than 10 times Sullivan and Partners' worth. Perhaps it was time for a new kind of family dinner. "Tell Mom I'll be there," I decided. "And Maggie? Tell Dad to bring the contract revisions. We can discuss business and family at the same time." just like he always wanted. The birthday dinner was held at our childhood home, a mansion in Pacific Heights that had once seemed impressive. Now, after my penthouse and offices, it felt strangely small. Mom had outdone herself with decorations, clearly hoping to recreate happier times. The entire family was there. Margaret and her husband, my younger brother Peter and his wife, and various aunts and uncles who'd witnessed my failure years ago. Alexandra. Mom hugged me tightly. The house has missed you. Happy birthday, Mom. I handed her a small box from Tiffany's. Inside was a diamond bracelet worth more than Dad's annual salary. Oh, darling. She blinked back tears. It's too much. Actually, I smiled, it's just enough. Dad stood by the fireplace, contract folder in hand, looking uncertain for the first time in my memory. The revisions? I held out my hand. Can't we eat first? Mom pleaded. Talk about something besides business. Why? I took the folder. Business is family tradition, right, Dad? He cleared his throat. Alexandra, about the implementation. Already ahead of schedule, I cut him off. Your associates love the new system, especially the ones you said would resist change. Peter, who worked as an associate at the firm, nodded enthusiastically. It's incredible, Alex. Case processing time is down 30% already. Wait, Uncle Robert interrupted. You're behind the new system? The one the whole firm's talking about. She's not just behind it, Margaret spoke up. She built it. The whole company. The room fell silent as I reviewed the contract revisions. These terms are acceptable, I said finally. Sarah will send the final version tomorrow. Alexandra, Dad started again. The IPO news will be announced next month. You'll want to prepare the firm for the publicity. Publicity? Mom looked confused. Sullivan and Partners will be featured prominently, I explained. The firm that initially dismissed digital transformation, now leading the legal tech revolution. The press loves irony. Dismissed? Uncle Robert frowned. Gregory, didn't you say the firm was an early adopter? I laughed. Actually laughed. Is that what he told you? Shall I show you the articles from 5 years ago, when he said technology would ruin the dignity of law practice? That's enough, Dad said sharply. Is it? Because I have more quotes. About women in tech. About real work versus playing with computers. I was wrong, he shouted suddenly, silencing the room. I sat back, savoring the moment. I'm sorry, what was that? I was wrong, he repeated quietly, about everything. The technology, the future of law, about you. Mom was crying openly now. Margaret looked like she might join her. The IPO, Dad continued. It's going to make you a billionaire, isn't it? Several times over, I confirmed. Plus whatever Sullivan and Partners stock is worth after we boost your efficiency another 50%. He nodded slowly. The firm. We'd like to increase our investment before the IPO. Dad, Margaret gasped. That's almost all our capital reserves. Because he knows a good investment when he finally sees one, I said. Don't worry, Maggie. I'll make sure the family firm survives, even thrives. Consider it my birthday gift to Mom. Alex. Mom wiped her eyes. Why didn't you tell us? All these years. Would you have believed me? Or would you have dismissed it as another failure like law school? Law school wasn't a failure, Dad said suddenly. You just saw a different future than I did. A better one. I stood, gathering my things. The investment paperwork will be ready tomorrow. Standard friends and family round. Pre-IPO pricing. I kissed Mom's cheek. Happy birthday. The bracelet looks perfect on you. You're leaving? But dinner. I have a video call with our Tokyo investors. I paused at the door. But I'll come to the next family dinner. As CEO of a public company, I should make time for shareholders. Dad actually smiled at that. Still using business to make your points. You taught me well, I replied, even if you didn't mean to. Because sometimes the best lessons come from the teachers who didn't know they were teaching. And sometimes the best revenge is showing them exactly what their lessons built. The IPO was historic. Novatech stock doubled on opening day, pushing our valuation past $4 billion. Headlines screamed about the legal tech revolution and the new face of Silicon Valley. Forbes put me on their 30 under 30 cover, right next to a smaller photo of my father's firm, labeled "The Old Guard Transforms." I was reviewing the post-IPO reports when Sarah buzzed in. Your father's here, without an appointment. For a moment, I considered sending him away. The markets had just closed, and I had a board meeting to prepare for. Send him up. He entered hesitantly, clutching a newspaper, today's Wall Street Journal, with my photo on the front page. The stock, he started. It's remarkable. Did you need something, Dad? The quarterly implementation review isn't until next week. He placed the newspaper on my desk. Next to my photo was a smaller one, me at 18, in his office, taking dictation as his secretary. Where did they get this? From me, he said quietly. They contacted the firm for background. I had kept it. I picked up the paper. The headline read, From Secretary to CEO, The Sullivan Revolution. Why did you give them this? Because I was wrong, he said, sitting down heavily. And the world should know how wrong. Before I could respond, Sarah buzzed again. Miss Sullivan? The Richardson merger team is ready. Tell them 5 minutes. I turned back to my father. Was there something specific you needed? The firm. We're losing young associates. They're all applying to tech companies, to places like Novatech. I smiled. Karma's interesting, isn't it? Alexandra, please. The firm, your grandfather's legacy, is evolving. I finished. Just like the industry, you can either evolve with it or become obsolete. That's why I'm here. He straightened his shoulders. I want to step down. The partners, we think you should take over. I actually laughed. You want me to run Sullivan and Partners? Now? You've proven yourself more than capable. No, Dad. I've proven myself far beyond Sullivan and Partners. I gestured around my office. This company is transforming the entire legal industry. Why would I step backward? It's your heritage. My heritage? I stood up. My heritage was being told I couldn't handle law school, being made a secretary in my own family's firm, having my ideas dismissed because I was just a girl playing with computers. I know, I was wrong. Wrong doesn't begin to cover it. I pulled up our latest projections on the wall screen. See these numbers. Novatech will be worth $10 billion by next quarter. Sullivan and Partners is worth what? 100 million? 200? He flinched. The firm's value isn't just monetary. Actually, it is. Everything is. That's what you taught me, remember? Business is about numbers, Alexandra, not feelings. Sarah buzzed again. The merger team. 1 minute. I turned back to my father. I won't take over Sullivan and Partners, but I will offer you a solution. What kind of solution? A complete acquisition. Novatech absorbs Sullivan and Partners. We retain the name for historical value, but modernize everything else. His face paled. You want to buy us out. I want to save grandfather's legacy, but on my terms, not yours. The partners will never agree. They already have. I pulled up a series of emails. They've been approaching us quietly for months. They see the future, Dad. Do you? He stared at the emails, senior partners he'd worked with for decades, secretly planning an exit strategy. How long have you known that they were looking to sell? Since before the IPO. Why do you think I gave the firm such favorable terms on the technology contract? You were preparing for this. I learned from you, Dad. Always think 3 moves ahead. The merger team was getting restless. I could see them through the glass walls of the conference room. Take the deal, I said. Let Sullivan and Partners become part of something bigger. Something that honors the past while building the future. And if I refuse, then watch as every young lawyer chooses tech over tradition. Watch your clients move to firms that use our systems more efficiently. Watch your legacy fade while mine grows. He picked up the Wall Street Journal again, looking at the 2 photos, the secretary and the CEO. The board meets next week, I added. I'll have Sarah send over the acquisition proposal. Standard terms, plus a heritage clause maintaining the Sullivan name. You've thought of everything. No, Dad. I just learned from everything. Every dismissal, every condescending comment, every time you said technology was beneath the Sullivan name. I checked my watch. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a merger to negotiate. He stood slowly, age and realization weighing heavily. Your mother wants you to come to Sunday dinner to celebrate the IPO. I'll have my chef prepare something. My penthouse, 7 p.m. The whole family should see what their secretary built. Sunday dinner was a stark contrast to previous family gatherings. My private chef served Michelin star quality courses while the family took in the panoramic views from my penthouse. This is incredible, Mom kept saying, touching the custom furnishings, the smart home systems, the art worth millions. Margaret explored my home office, taking in the awards, the magazine covers, the evidence of success they'd never imagined. The acquisition papers, Dad said quietly, placing a folder on my desk. The partners unanimously approved. Of course they did. I picked up the folder. They understand evolution. Will you? Will you keep any of us? The efficient ones, I replied. The ones willing to embrace change. The ones who see technology as the future, not the enemy. Peter, my younger brother, approached hesitantly. Alex, about that job opening in your development team. Talk to HR on Monday. No special treatment. You'll start at entry level like everyone else. Thank you, he said, then added, I always knew you were smarter than they thought. Dinner was served on my terrace, the San Francisco lights creating a perfect backdrop. Mom had brought old family photos, including one of me at my secretary desk. I was so blind, she said, touching the photo. We all were. The past is past, I replied. The future is what matters now. And what's in that future? Dad asked. Besides acquiring your old firm. I smiled, thinking of the plans only my board knew about. Global expansion, AI integration, things you dismissed as science fiction 5 years ago. And the Sullivan name will be part of that future, just not the way you imagined. I raised my glass to evolution, in business and in family. They toasted, These people who had once dismissed me, now sitting in my penthouse, drinking wine worth more than my old secretary's salary. Because sometimes success isn't just about proving people wrong, it's about forcing them to watch as you prove yourself right. 1 year after the IPO, I stood at the podium of the newly renovated Sullivan Tech Tower, formerly Sullivan and Partners headquarters. The building had been transformed, just like the company it now housed. Today marks not just a renovation, but a revolution. I told the crowd of media, employees, and family. Sullivan Tech's AI-driven legal solutions are now used by over 2,000 firms worldwide. Our valuation has reached $15 billion, making us the fastest-growing legal tech company in history. In the front row, my father sat quietly, watching as I redefined his legacy. He had taken a position as Heritage Advisor, a title that preserved his dignity while removing his decision-making power. But this isn't just about business, I continued. It's about transformation, about seeing the future while others cling to the past. Margaret, now head of our client relations department, gave me a thumbs up. She'd adapted well to the new era, proving that some family traditions could evolve. 5 years ago, I sat in this building as a secretary, watching partners dictate letters and search paper files. Today, our AI processes handle millions of documents instantly. What once took weeks now takes seconds. Peter, who had worked his way up to junior developer, beamed proudly. He'd found his calling in coding, far from the legal career our father had envisioned for him. The Sullivan name once stood for tradition. Today, it stands for innovation. Mom wiped away tears. Happy ones this time. The family's wealth had tripled since the acquisition, though money wasn't what moved her anymore. Pride was. After the speech, during the reception, Dad approached my private office, his old office, now completely modernized. The AI integration, he said. It's remarkable. Everything you said would never work, I replied with a smile. Funny how time changes perspective. Alexandra? He hesitated. Your grandfather's portrait. I gestured to the wall where it still hung, now alongside my Forbes covers and innovation awards. Still here, honoring the past while building the future. He nodded, understanding finally settling in. You did it better than we ever could. I did it differently, I corrected. That's what you never understood. Different doesn't mean wrong. Later, as the family gathered in my penthouse for dinner, a new monthly tradition, I watched them interact with the empire I'd built. Mom showing off my latest magazine features to relatives. Margaret explaining our AI systems to amazed cousins. Peter demonstrating the technology that had replaced the old paper files. You know what's ironic? I said to Dad as we stood on the terrace. You wanted me to follow the Sullivan tradition. Instead, I created a new one. He looked out at the city, at the building now bearing the Sullivan Tech logo. A better one, he admitted. The secretary who changed everything, Mom said, joining us. Who would have thought? I would have. I replied, I always did. You just weren't listening. Because sometimes, the greatest success isn't in proving others wrong, but in being so right, they forget they ever doubted you.